So now that you have your audio, the next step that we need to take is to EQ or equalize the audio. So what that means is we're going to take the audio and we're going to put an effect on it so that it sounds good. And like I mentioned before in previous trainings and things like that, previous videos in the course, is that when you're recording on your phone, the audio is automatically processed in a way that it sounds good to the human ear. So whenever we talk on the phone, there's equipment and hardware and software, even programming in your cell phone to make sure that the audio is nice and clear for those who are receiving or listening to you on the other side on their phone, which is a plus when making your first podcast. So now you don't have to worry about as much as somebody else if you had a fancy studio or anything like that. Your audio is already going to be in a good position to start to work with. And so what we want to do, even before we go ahead and start adding effects and editing our podcast audio, we want to set the file up so it's easy to see. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to hit View, Track Size, and then we want to hit Fit to Height. And so that makes the file that you're editing nice and big so it's easy to see. After that, then we're going to go back to View. We're going to go to Zoom, and then we're going to go Zoom Normal. Or the shortcut for that is Control+2. And on Macs, it would be Apple key 2. So you're going to hit Zoom Normal. And so now we're zoomed in to see all of the audio. And so this is your voice, or this is my voice, I guess, in the podcast that we recorded, and it appears as waveforms. And so depending on how you recorded your audio or the program on your phone, it can appear with 2 pieces of audio, and this is just stereo, so this is left and right, or it'll be 1. And so I'm going to make this look like 1 so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Or it can look like this. Either way works for producing your podcast. So I'm going to go ahead and put it back to stereo because I'm trying to minimize as many steps as that you all have to take. So if you make a mistake or if you want to make any changes, like go backwards, all you have to do is go to Edit and Undo, or hit Control Z or Apple Z. So I'm going to undo back to where we are, just like this. So now that we have the file at a view that is easier to look at, and this is definitely easier for me. I wear glasses, so I need to be able to see things clearly. So now what we want to do is we want to highlight all of this audio, and we can do that easily by just clicking this area over here, and it highlights that whole track of audio. Now this is selected. And so what we want to do to EQ our audio is that we want to go to Effect, go down to Graphic EQ, and when this pops up for you, since you just got Audacity and you don't have any of all the settings and stuff in place yet, it's going to look like this. And so each one of these are different frequencies in the sound spectrum. So this is your low end sounds and then your high end sounds. And so the human voice is best, or average is around this space right here. And so what we want to do is we want to try to get rid of any additional sounds that's going to distract from the human voice. And so typically the frequencies or the range of sound that we have the most problems with, or the sounds that we want to get rid of when listening to somebody speak or listening to a podcast, is stuff on the lower end, which is around 63 or 80 hertz and below, and can be up on the high end, around 16K kilohertz to 20 hertz. And so all we're going to do is we're going to come down to 63 and then drag this all the way down. Then do the same thing for 50, same thing for 40, 31, 25, 25, and then you can also just click 20. And then we're going to do the same thing on this end at 20 hertz, 20,000 hertz, or 20 kilohertz. And once you do that, you're going to just hit OK. And after you have applied this effect, there's going to be some slight changes in the waveform. And like I mentioned before, because we are recording our audio on a phone, it's already going through a process of equalizing to make sure that it's capturing your voice in the most optimal way for listeners. So again, this is helping you to more quickly and more effectively produce your podcast. So now that your audio has been equalized, to get rid of any additional low-end sounds, say there was a rumbling by a truck driving by or something like that, that equalization is helping to get rid of that sound so it's not a distraction to your audience that's listening to you. Now that we have the equalization done on our audio, the next thing that we have to do is to apply compression.